Welcome to another edition of Len's Burning Bush. I am Len Harvey. Before I bring on my guest for the week, I want to talk about what's really burning my bush this week. So back last year, episode 2, I did an episode, No More Acronyms. Stop with the shortening of everything. It's something I truly have a strong distaste for. I can't even say it. If you've listened to me at all during the last year, you know, you get it. You get that feeling that I just don't like it. It's a whole new language that everyone doesn't understand. Not everybody understands. It's kind of interesting. And companies are continuing along those lines as well. So I'm watching TV last week, and James Corden is on a commercial. You know, the guy from Carpool Karaoke, does the late night. Well, he's got a commercial. He apparently lost a little bit of weight, and he's lost it, what I thought was a Weight Watchers commercial, the weight loss company. But at the end, James finishes and says he lost weight with WW. And I'm like, really? We can't even say Weight Watchers anymore? We have to say WW? I mean, we've had this for many years. We've had Kentucky Fried Chicken is just now KFC, right? And now Dunkin' Donuts, one of my favorite places, right? I mean, the donuts is what created the company. And now it's just running on Dunkin', right? Just Dunkin'. I don't understand. The donuts are what is the big deal. Did you also know that Starbucks was actually Starbucks Coffee, Tea, and Spices before it became Starbucks? Now, I get that. Maybe it's a little bit long. Also, A&P Supermarkets on the East Coast was Atlantic and Pacific Tea Company. So I understand why you would want to shorten that. But really, Weight Watchers? We can't say Weight Watchers, WW. Hewlett-Packard, they just became HP. Motorola is now just Moto. Now, this is an old one. I'm going back a long time, and this is before my time, probably before my guest time. But Lucky Strikes, the cigarettes. Remember when they advertised that? In the old days, my father-in-law told me, and he's 92, he said that it was LSMFT, and that stood for Lucky Strikes means fine tobacco. So we had to have an abbreviation for that, right? Even TV shows have gotten into the act. AGT, America's Got Talent, right? The Game of Thrones was just GOT. Pardon the Interruption is just PTI. Society has always been in love with the shortened names. IBM, right? MASH, CSI, Law and Order SVU. Do I now need to shorten Len's Burning Bush to just LBB? Stop the insanity. With that said, it's time to bring on my guest for the week. He is a radio legend in the city of Cincinnati, has also appeared in Minneapolis, now is the afternoon drive talent for Classic Country 105.9, 106.7 WNKR. Let's welcome Maverick to Len's Burning Bush, or should I say LBB? Stop it, Maverick. Stop it, please.
Hold on, Len. BTW, LBRB, okay?
LOL. I just don't understand. We have to Weight Watchers. It's not that hard. It's just Weight Watchers. 2 syllables. Come on.
When you said that he said he had lost weight through WW, I thought he lost weight with Women's World?
Yeah. Well, that's what I was thinking, too. And it's like WW makes me think of like the World Wide Web, or there was the WWF originally, the wrestling, and then it became the World Wildlife Foundation, and they got mad, and it was WWE now, Worldwide Wrestling Entertainment. And when you talk in code and you have to figure it out, it's like reminds me of the scene in Christmas Story where he's decoding what he thinks was a separate message, and it was just like, remember to drink your Ovaltine. It's a damn commercial. Right? I mean, it's just this. We just consistently do this, but even in the workplace, you will find this to come across. You'll have something. You'll get an email, and you'll see something that says like SOW, which is scope of work. Like, but you have to figure that out. Like, why can't you just write scope of work, or just write I'm putting this work together? Like, do we need all the other nonsense? That's the question I have.
I've I've had many occasions where somebody has sent me either a text or an email with some sort of acronym for a phrase that they were trying to communicate with me, and because I didn't want to feel stupid, I would Google it.
Yeah, of course. I do it all the time. I'll get a text, you know, LMBO. And I didn't know, I guess that's laugh. Was it my butt off? I don't even, it's just, I got a text like that and I had to look it up. Yes. I'm one of those as well. I have to look it up.
Well, I even I communicate with a friend via Messenger on a regular basis, and they frequently use TY. And the first time I saw that, I'm thinking, oh, what do you got, Beanie Babies that you want me to
Exactly. Ty
talk to
Beanie
you
Baby.
about? That's it's when I see these acronyms that I suddenly go, okay, what are they saying here, and why don't they just say it?
Well,
But
and
I was embarrassed to find out that TY was, oh yeah, thank you. You mean you couldn't just say thank you?
well, exactly. And the birthday wishes, it's just like HBB. I mean, we talked about this on the second episode with Ryan, and we talked about that even pod means play on demand. So even this is shortened for something. I mean,
Yeah.
even the podcast world, it's just the podcast. Everything is, you have all of this, but it's Wheel of Fortune, WOF. They're like people talk about other stuff. It's just, I think we need to just slow down a little bit, Stop with, it doesn't have to be that short. I like to always put, so I'm not the big shortening the text, right? I'll write out ha instead of LOL or, funny, or if I'm laughing or whatever. I just don't agree with any of these things. And again, I'm just a curmudgeon, and I figured bringing you on, we can discuss this because you and we talked about surveys the last time you were on back last year.
Mm-hmm.
And it's good to have you back, by the way.
Thank you.
Because I think the fact that you're coming back means that you either have nothing to do or you actually like the show. I don't know. I'm trying to figure this all out, but it is just too much for me. And I didn't want to just repeat an episode that I did, but when I saw that Weight Watchers commercial, it just made me just kind of cringe again. And I had to bring it up in a new way. And this is the way I figured it out, because it's just like Dunkin' Donuts is no longer, it's just Dunkin', right? That is just frustrating because the whole idea of the company, same with Kentucky Fried Chicken. It was because of the damn chicken. KFC, they just kind of say KFC. Nobody knows what the hell you're getting, right?
Well, some of those, in the case of KFC, um, I don't really mind that one because I think a particular generation, probably going back to the 80s, began to shorten that. And that's one that just makes sense. And it made so much sense that they went ahead and officially changed the name of the company to KFC because everyone knew what they were talking about. Just like when someone says LOL now, almost everyone knows. But I struggle like you do with the idea of shortening almost everything in the way we communicate when we never really mastered communicating with one another to begin with.
I actually think we do less communicating in a more communicative way. So we've got all this technology to use, right? You and I are communicating via FaceTime, and it's amazing, the technology that you can do. But I think we do less of this, and all we do is sit on our damn phones and type little 3-second, shortened messages. And again, you got to sit there with the little offer nanny spy ring to figure out what the hell the person is trying to say, right? I'm sitting there with the spy ring going, remember to drink your Ovaltine. That's the only thing I ever think about. I know. It's just the things that bother me. I mean, I know it's first world problems, but this is why it's Len's Burning Bush, or hopefully we don't have to change it to LBB, because I don't know if I can. Maybe after I'm gone, you can call it LBB, but right now it's still Len's Burning Bush. Damn it.
See, I don't disagree with you in this particular subject because of the fact that, well, I understand that a lot of this was created because of texting. and trying to hit those tiny little buttons. And oh, thank God we have spell check to let us know that you know we don't want to use a 4-letter curse word when
Yes.
when in fact, yes, I do.
Yeah, I do. I do.
Stop telling me what it is that I don't want to say.
I know.
But I all I could think was is that for one, to answer your earlier question, you're just a BFF to me. So,
This is true. We've known each other for a
but
long time.
but, I have yeah, I have a really kind of a busy schedule, and I just knew that whenever you say, "Hey, can we do this?" and I say, "Yeah, I would love to be able to do it again," you're just that important to me to be
Oh,
able to say, "Stop everything. Let's take time to do that." So
and
um, you know that it's because of the relationship that I have with you, Len, that it's more important to just stop for a minute and sit down and have a little conversation.
absolutely, two guys that just are just as curmudgeon as you can get. We just sit back and talk. But I really that's the one that, well, there's more than one, kind of what I love about doing this. But this is the best part of it, just being able to talk. We don't get a chance to do this on a regular basis, to talk like we should, and use the telephone for what it was supposed to be invented for, and that was to have a conversation instead of the texting or whatever. This is great. So I enjoy it. It has brought out a lot of like old friendships on the show, and even new ones. I've had Tanya Memi on. I've had Mike Dardis and Cherie Palello were on, and they talked about having fun on the show as well. So it is great that you agreed to be on. Now you are doing afternoon drive in Cincinnati again. Thank goodness you're back. You were former B105. You were the member of the Traffic Twins. Then you went to Minneapolis and found snow. And now you're back, and we like that. So how's the show going in the afternoon, and how can we promote it better on Len's Burning Bush?
Well, I'm on from 2 until 7. It's WNKR in Kentucky, WNKN, which is WNKR to the north, as they would say. That tower is in Middletown. And, it's classic country. It's really the country music that I kind of adore. It's a lot of the 90s stuff that everyone really kind of misses. And I really agree. The country music that is now what is the new country that's coming out. I mean, there are some great songs. It's just not what I prefer to listen to. I would rather listen to the classics. And I've been saying since, almost 1990, that why isn't anyone playing the old Waylon and Willie songs? A lot of the Johnny Cash stuff that radio stations, country radio stations anymore, are just saying, well, yeah, we agree that he is one of country music's finest, but we just can't play that stuff anymore. The audience turns it off. Well, I happen to work for somebody who owns a radio station who says, I think there are a lot of people that would really love to hear that. So I get the pleasure of being able to play those songs and talk about everything that's local, whether it's in northern Kentucky or whether it's on the Ohio side. I'll talk about no hitters that were thrown by 3 no hitters that
Yes.
were thrown back to back by the Walton Verona baseball team. Um, you know, uh, there are just a multitude of stories that are out there, and I continue to look for more too. I, would love for anyone that has any kind of a local story from some of the smaller towns, whether it's northern Kentucky or the Middletown Tower shoots the signal for WNKN 105.9 all the way to Wapakoneta. So, there is a huge audience that is tuning in to hear those songs. And, it's just kind of what I've done for so long that I go in, settle down in the studio, and just have fun with it.
Well, I knew you would. And one of the things I don't like about the pop culture of radio in particular is that we just assume that because something's new that everybody wants to listen to only the new stuff and don't want to play the old stuff. It's like going to a concert and seeing a band play, an older band, and wanting to hear the classics, right? We always want to hear the classics, and they always want to come out and play some of the new stuff, right? Because they want to catch you on that. I just paid $250 for this concert. Do you think I want to hear your new stuff? I want to hear the stuff that I like. And I think we just, in the radio industry, they just assume that we like the new stuff and they forget that there's just so much other music. So, funny story about that. So, by you playing the older stuff, you're also going to get some of the younger people that'll listen to, maybe they never heard Johnny Cash before, right? And maybe that's a good thing. Why should we assume, you know what happens when you assume? Why should we assume that someone who is of 25 years old, they don't want to hear Waylon Jennings, Willie Nelson? And I mean, how do they know it if they've never heard it, right? They don't know that. So I'm bringing up a point because as I get to it, it's taken me a long time to get there, but we'll get there. The point I'm trying to make here is that my nephew, my sister-in-law, her oldest son, this is going back when Susan and I were dating, probably in the early 90s, okay? And he comes to us, and he's like 40 now, so I don't know how old he was. He's probably in his maybe teens,
Okay.
right? And he comes up to us. He says, "I just heard this new, artist. He's really good, and his name is Eric Clapton." and I started to laugh because, but again, the old saying, "It's new to me," right? Eric Clapton has been around since the 60s, and he was 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and today it's like a new radio station, the best mix of the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and today, right? That is, but think about that. He found Eric Clapton, and God bless my kids because we listen to a lot of the older stuff and we listen to newer stuff, and I mix it up. I think we need to do a better job of mixing it up and not just feeding you what we want to hear. We want to see The Weeknd and we want to, whatever. I really can do without it, to be honest with you, but I like the older stuff, and I'm glad that you're playing the stuff that, don't decide for people. Let them decide whether or not they like it. Why assume that they don't?
Well, in all honesty, Len, music is when we're younger, we're generally tuned into a specific type of music that's going on for us at that particular time. And that's when we tend to create some of the most um, long lasting memories. And then we associate certain songs when we hear them with those good memories. And that's why, you want to hear some of those old songs from way back when, younger kids are listening to what they want to hear and they're getting their own memories as a result of listening to those songs and don't really want to associate them with your mom or dad's memories. And so I understand that. It's just that for 30 years now. Like I said, it's been since 1990 when I thought somebody should be playing classic country hits because they were already beginning to play the old rock and roll hits from the doo-wop stuff back in the 50s all the way through the 60s and the early 70s stuff. And, it's like it has to be the same for country, but it isn't really until now that somebody has said, turn that on because, oh my gosh, there are those days when, I have played Tammy Wynette's Stand By Your Man. And, hearing that come through my headphones and, at the end of the song, I come on and say, I know you were singing along to this.
It's the truth.
Because there was just something about that song itself, even though, oh, God love her, there's a lot of twang in that song, but the heartfelt feeling and the things that a song like that will take you back to, maybe one of the first few times that you heard that, is just undoubtedly one of the best feelings you can have when you hear that kind of song that you haven't heard forever.
Right, and I get that way with some Bee Gees stuff, like the original stuff. So in 1975, I remember riding up into the mountains in the backseat of my father's. He had a rental car at the time, and we were going up to the mountains in the Catskill region because that was the law that you had to do that in the summer. But anyway, I'm sitting in the back seat and I heard Jive talking on the radio for the first time in like 1975, and I got to be honest. Every time I hear the song, it takes me back to when I was 7 years old, and it is such a great, you hear that beat and the way that they play it, and certain songs can just bring you right back. If you hear Johnny Cash or, you mentioned Willie Nelson, there's so many hits. But, there's some that you remember from Willie Nelson that, even someone who didn't listen to Willie in the 60s and 70s, but late 70s, he got popular again. On the road again.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he did a lot of stuff, but it was like there's a lot of stuff that he did. I just enjoy music in general, and I think we shouldn't limit ourselves to just what's new. Mix it up a little bit, right? If you're going to go listen to your classic country stuff on your station, and if you want to hear some other stuff, you kind of mix it up or get a playlist together. But I like the idea of having the older stuff mixed in.
Yeah, well, that's kind of why I do it.
Yeah,
It's something that I've done for so long as far as being on the radio that that part comes natural for me, and then the songs create memories that because basically I'm in a studio all by myself, and for 4 or 5 hours I'm not really in communication with anyone other than those that are actually listening to the station at that time. So I have to kind of put myself in the car with you or wherever you might be. And if it's not entertaining to me, then I'm not going to be able to entertain you. So I
that's
go
true.
in. I go in with the idea to have a whole lot of fun and to let those songs kind of bring back my own memories.
Well, exactly. And not everybody in the music industry wants to continue to stay in the music industry or they want to do something different during this whole pandemic, right? Everybody's been trying to do something different. And maybe some to help people. And Chris Lambert, apparently, I don't know if you heard this story, but he he wants to get back to making music, but he's been doing a podcast. So again, the podcast, Play on Demand, right? We'll talk about that. But apparently there was a billboard on the side of the road in California's Central Coast that led him on a detour about 3 years ago from a career as a singer-songwriter and recording engineer. He created a podcast about the 1996 disappearance of college freshman Christian Smart, and it took over his life. And they finally, on Tuesday, the sheriff was able to arrest somebody. He credited Lambert for helping draw worldwide attention to the case and bring forward several key witnesses. The suspect, Paul Flores, and Smart were fellow freshmen at the California Polytech State Institute. And this came about because he did an 8-part series, a podcast called Your Own Backyard. Now, he gets a lot more listeners than Lens Burning Bush. 7.5 million downloads on Thursday. And
Really?
think about that. And they caught the guy. It was like, it's kind of like America's Most Wanted now in a podcast form. But
Yeah.
but isn't that amazing?
Well, I'm glad that we have this avenue. I mean, there's so much with technology, and we talk about the acronyms and it being a result of technology and possibly, having to text the way we do. But as much as you hate it, there is a lot of good that has come from it.
Absolutely. And it's not just the first one. So he's in the latest of these that have done these true crime podcasts. There's been one, Up and Vanished, was another one that led to a man confess to killing Georgia beauty queen while serial helped a convicted murderer with a new trial in Maryland. So this has been going on recently, and a lot of people have been listening to these. I always get scared of the people, and don't let your wife ever listen to these podcasts, is How to Murder Your Husband, or I've heard like stories of how you can murder people and get away with it, right? That you want to make sure, I mean, let's be honest, it's pretty easy to get rid of us, but, let's hope they do it in a nice way.
All she has to do is ignore me, and then I end up going. I got to go find someplace else to hang out for a while until she cools off.
Absolutely. So one other thing, a kind of a sad note. I don't know if you were a fan of the TV show Addams Family back in the day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Well, Cousin It is no longer. Felix Cilia, who played the mysterious and hairy Cousin It, he died after a battle with pancreatic cancer. And it was interesting, Gil Gerard, who played Buck Rogers in the 25th Century.
Yeah.
He was the one who kind of mentioned about it. He said he's sad to see his friend lose his cancer battle, but he says he's glad Felix is no longer suffering. Although we never saw his face on the show, Felix was extremely well known for playing Cousin It on the 60s sitcom. He dressed in the sunglasses and the hat, kind of. He also didn't get, the sad part is, the poor guy, he was in Buck Rogers in the 25th Century, but he didn't get any FaceTime there either. He was just the robot sidekick, Twiki. So the poor guy never got on, but, let's say R.I.P. to Cousin It. See,
Yeah.
R.I.P. You like the way I did that with the actor?
Yeah. Yeah.
Rest in peace to that. That's kind of interesting. So, Cousin It no longer. But one person that is around and kicking and doing, he's trying to do good. The Rock. Dwayne The Rock Johnson apparently wants to, or is talking about, he isn't opposed to it. So this is interesting. When somebody's not opposed to something, you kind of feel like maybe they want to do it. But he's talking about the idea of getting into politics. And he's had some massive support from Americans who would support him for president and Matthew McConaughey for Texas governor. It's like, all right.
All right.
The sad part is we've had such bad candidates over the years that we can't do much worse. And I got to be honest. The Rock, let's go. What the heck? Matthew McConaughey, go on ahead. Ronald Reagan, remember in the scene Back to the Future? They said Ronald Reagan's president. He goes, the actor? The actor? Yeah, apparently, yes. It was Jerry Lewis, the vice president. Yeah, but I suppose Jane Wyman is the first lady. Yeah. So
I actually read last night where Ronald Reagan sat in the theater for his own viewing of Back to the Future, and he actually had the projector guy stop the movie and roll it back so that he could see that line again. He thought it was so humorous.
It was. And of course, Christopher Lloyd, the legendary 1.21 gigawatts. How could I have been so careless, Marty? It's, but that, sorry, I'll get you back here some way. But this is the stuff that I think about, right? The running for president, Matthew McConaughey. You know what I say? Go for it. We can all do all right. We probably get tired. There'll probably be people tired of him, just like they were of anybody else. But I think it's interesting. And I have mentioned over the course of these long episodes for this last year, social media has its advantages and disadvantages, right? So, and the reason I bring this up, because I don't know if you saw this week, but Katy Perry has come out on, basically on her Twitter page. She didn't have any nice things to say about social media. And I was always taught when I was a kid, if you didn't have anything nice to say, you wouldn't say anything at all, right? That was the old way. Apparently, that's not the new way. Everybody's got to have this little bit of a rant. But she said, this is interesting, social media is trash. She said, provided no further context. So you're going to come out with something like that and just kind of not do anything. She intensified her rant in a follow-up tweet, which she posted, the decline of human civilization, and ended her remark with hashtag, I said what I said. So she had to, bring it up to the year 2021 with the hashtags and the other nonsense about social media. But it's funny, she complained about social media on social media. So I don't know. I'm just thinking about, she said it was trash, but I think people will agree that there's a lot of social media that is trash. But there is some good of it. I mean, the fact that you can maybe keep in touch with a friend and you can, family and different kinds of things and see where they stand on it, as long as you're not seeing political ads, whatever. But Katy Perry coming out and saying social media is trash and just kind of, that's it. That's all. I said what I said. Okay. Well, thank you.
I completely understand why someone feels the need to be able to knock somebody else down for whatever reason, even if it's somebody that is just a sour person, that all they have to do or say is something that is negative. I'm okay with allowing somebody to say those things. I don't ever feel the need to respond unless it's somebody that is a loved one that I feel like, hey, we need to talk this out, or what's going on. Let's have a conversation that makes sense rather than you just spewing. So the idea that there are a lot of people that have taken or use social media to just be able to say, I've decided I don't like this person. I'm going to say something so nasty that it will trash them, and there will other people get on board and say, maybe he's right, and won't ever bother to. And it goes right back to what we started with. No one really communicates with one another and is transparent enough to be able to just say, this is what's going on. This is why I feel this way. It may not be what everyone else thinks, but it is what I feel right now. And I've always been that kind of person where if I had an opinion about somebody and someone else came along and said, I don't feel the same way, and it's because of this reason or that reason, most of the time, it would at least give me a different perspective to be able to say, you might be right.
Yeah, I think I having the conversations and talking it through is certainly a way to do it. And this social media and the nastiness that goes on and the constant stuff. I always like to say, Maverick, if I wanted to hear from an a-hole, I would have farted. That's kind of the way it is, right? I mean, shut your mouth, right? Well, how's that? And then of course SMH, right? Shit, you just have to. So, I don't understand any of it. I don't know why people have to be mean, and I watch people's feeds, like women in particular, who are in the sports realm and have their Twitter feeds, and they post something and people are just so nasty to them. Like, oh, well, you gained weight or you did. I was like, who the hell were they? Like, you're sitting in your mother's basement and you're typing and you're criticizing someone who's talented and whatever because they gained a few pounds. Like, I just find that interesting. I don't know why you would ever want to say something nasty to somebody who is better than you. Let's be honest.
Well, the problem is the other people that read these things that give credence to it. So that's the biggest problem, is when someone starts piling on or just decides that, I can be just as nasty as they can. And, we're going to form our own coalition of nastiness to be out there, because good God, we're dealing with enough of that.
I know.
With all the other things we have to deal with on a regular basis. Yet alone somebody who just decides that, I'm just a bitter person. We might be curmudgeons, Lenny,
yes.
but I'm not a bitter person.
No,
I don't feel any anger toward anyone.
No, and that's kind of the thing. I get angry on this podcast about certain things. I get it off my chest. I talk about it. Now I forgot about it. I got to be honest. It's like it's like the old Honeymooners episode, Pins and Needles, Needles and Pins. It's a happy man who grins. And then you figure out, you smile, what am I so mad about? And then Norton will say, the landlord just raised the rent $5. But that's another story. That is kind of the stuff I remember, and it's great. Now, Maverick, I want to promote your stuff too, but remember, you can like Lens Burning Bush on Facebook at Lens Burning Bush. You can like it on Twitter. Now, here's the thing. There's also a YouTube channel now where I post the audio up to YouTube as well. So there's so many ways to get this show now. We are in iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Podbean, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, right? You can even ask Alexa to play Lens Burning Bush podcast. And then we have Stitcher and some others I have no idea. So I got to be honest, it's all over the place. If you Google Lens Burning Bush, you'll find many ways to listen to it. So we are all over the place. We've actually had some loyal followers and loyal listeners in the UK. So I always like to raise a glass. Cheers to my friends in the UK. Also, we've had Ireland, Germany, and all over the place. And again, I have no idea why, but it's kind of the way. But we've been in several countries, and it's fun doing this. I love catching up with you. And why don't you give your how they can listen, not just in the traditional radio way, but I'm sure you can get it other ways, right?
You can stream it at, you'll find it at iloveclassiccountry.com. I keep confusing it with the Facebook page, which is at I Love Classic Country, but it's iloveclassiccountry.com. You just click on the play button and you'll hear it 24/7.
Wow. That is great, and make sure you listen to Maverick. I also want to not this go unnoticed. I wanted to wish Paula a happy birthday, her 29th birthday. Congratulations on that. That was and Susan's birthday is also a couple of days from now. So happy birthday to my wife Susan on this as well, because we
did Rob Cradle.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Rob in the cradle. Love it, love it, love it. Maverick, I could do this all day with you. We have so much fun all the time. Will you please come back again, and we can do this again, because this makes me happy. Why not be happy instead of miserable, right? We have enough. We have enough. I always like to say, kids are rushing to get older. You have enough time to be miserable. Enjoy right now. All right.
I'll come back, Len. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Well, thanks, Maverick. Thanks to you, the listener. We'll be back again. I'm Len Harvey, back again with another episode of Len's Burning Bush next week. So long.